Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for Thursday, October 5th, 2017. Obviously, the top story is Tropical Storm Nate. As of the 2 p.m. Eastern Time intermediate advisory, pressure was 1,001 millibars, moving northwest at about 9 miles per hour, and the winds were only about 40 miles per hour. The biggest issue with Nate this afternoon and for the time being is going to be the very heavy rainfall that it is bringing to the area. It's not a wind event down here per se. It's all this copious amounts of moisture being wrung out across the region. There was already reports of fatalities because of flooding down in Costa Rica, and the overall energy from this system and another, just parts of energy basically trying to consolidate in the Western Caribbean, and is doing so through Nate, basically, bringing very heavy rain to Jamaica. And then we have this upper level low and a tropical wave or surface trough interacting with that. Just all kinds of unsettled weather. And then adding to the whole mess is this area of interesting weather south of El Salvador and Guatemala. So you've got a lot of energy competing for the available energy in the ocean. You have energy in the atmosphere, I should say, and it's trying to pull all this energy out of the ocean. And until and unless one of these can take over, and it's presumably going to be Nate down here as it moves up across this area over the next several days, you're going to have a lot of overall inclement weather across portions of the Caribbean, the southeastern Pacific, across Cuba, Jamaica, the Caymans, and even into Florida, none of which are directly related to Nate, which of course, again, is down here. So it's a complicated pattern to be sure. Looking at the 5-day forecast track from the 11 a.m. advisory package, a landfall perhaps somewhere along the northern Gulf Coast, anywhere from, we'll call it Mobile, Alabama to New Orleans, Louisiana. We will just have to see. It's about 3 days away from happening or so, and so it's getting close. And this is going to move fairly quickly around the western part of this strong ridge that's going to develop out here over the western Atlantic. And people up here, all kinds of bike festivals and other things going on, music festivals. It's October. People get out and enjoy this type of weather. Not this type down in the tropics, but the weather that normally prevails up in this region. This weekend is going to be interrupted, it looks like, by the potential for a hurricane as Nate moves very quickly from Saturday into Sunday towards the northern Gulf Coast. The very latest from the ECMWF, the Euro as we call it, from tropicaltidbits.com. This is the initial condition from this morning, and Nate is situated right down in here. And I'm going to use red to circle this. There's Nate, and that's the vorticity signature at about the 5,000 foot level in the atmosphere. And you can also see that this piece of energy, this will move very quickly off to the west with time. And then you have this other piece of energy over here, and even some energy off to the east. Just a lot of stuff going on in the weather. And if it wasn't there, Nate would be well on its way to be becoming an intense hurricane. We can't rule out the fact that it still might be at some point, but with all this competition going on, it's holding it back just a little bit. So again, this is the beginning map, the initial condition. This is 24 hours out, so this is Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. You can see this makes landfall very close to New Orleans up here, and that's a problem. That's 3 days out, and hey, it could be a hurricane, and you never know. It might be strong, so we're going to see hurricane watches go up for portions of this area. Maybe tonight, we'll have to see, especially with how fast I think it's going to move once it gets off the Yucatan, coming around the backside of this very strong Bermuda high sitting out here. This is very much like a September pattern, early September rather than early October. Very warm, all this southeasterly flow into the southeast United States. Warm and muggy once again, not fall-like at all. And unfortunately, we might be dealing with a hurricane threat moving from the Louisiana-Mississippi coast into the Tennessee Valley over the weekend and into early next week. So, this wasn't advertised 2 weeks out by the global models. This is more of the overall pattern in this portion of the Atlantic Basin becoming favorable this time of year. And so we have not had days and days and days to watch this come from the east, develop, and then become a threat somewhere across the southeast, or something coming in through the Caribbean days and days and days ago, threatening the central Gulf Coast. This is a fairly short fuse system, and once it ramps up, it could do so very quickly. We have to be mindful of that. Not saying it's going to happen or that it has to happen. There are very warm water temperatures all through this region for it to tap into. It's just going to be one of these things where people are going to have to prepare and get out of the way, follow the evacuation. You know that's coming. This area very surge prone through here. This could be a big problem, so we're going to be on top of it. You've got a lot of great tools that you can track along with in Hurricane Pro and HD, and you can follow them on Twitter, Hurricane Pro on Twitter. My stuff, my information will also be retweeted from time to time from Hurricane Pro. I'll be heading out there with my crew to the central Gulf Coast starting tomorrow. I expect to be in Mississippi by tomorrow night, and then we spend Saturday setting up equipment, and that'll all go to our website and to our own app, which is called Hurricane Impact, and I will talk about that more in an update tomorrow as I travel. So here we go. Hurricane threat very likely now for portions of the central Gulf Coast, and I will be posting video updates along the way. All right, that's all I've got for today. Again, I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com, my website, and for Hurricane Pro and HD. I'll have another video discussion for you in the morning before I take off, and then I hit the road for the central Gulf Coast from there.